Hello, this is Group 15 and our topic is language tourism. Before we start, let's look at the contents. First, we will talk about what language tourism is, then the reasons why people want to do language tourism as well as the ways to do it, then also the needed documents, and after that we will give you information about who the people are that are doing language tourism and the most popular countries. And after that we will have two examples, one from Korea and one from another country. And lastly, we will also talk about language tourism as a part of human rights. So, what is language tourism? Language tourism, or language travel, is one branch of cultural tourism. As opposed to trips focused on visiting monuments, museums, and other places of general tourist interest, language trips have as their main motivation to learn or perfect a different language and at the same time experience local culture firsthand. The World Tourism Organization defines it as those activities carried out by people during their travels and stays in different places from their natural environment for a consecutive period of time of less than 1 year in order to make a linguistic immersion into a language other than their own. What are the reasons why people want to do language tourism? Learning a language in the country while being surrounded by locals is certainly different than learning it alone in your room. Because it is a more efficient way to develop skills, people who are serious about learning a language do it to develop solid speaking, listening, and writing abilities because they, for example, need it to be selected for a job or to apply for a university abroad. Doing language tourism also gives you the opportunity to get the needed language certificates, as you can choose to learn at many different qualified language schools. Learning in this way is also more pleasant because you can get hands-on experience outside the classroom when you interact with the locals. That means that you also get to know the culture better and have many opportunities to make new friends with native speakers and other people who learn the language. You can also learn new skills that you otherwise wouldn't learn, such as speaking in a local dialect. Language tourism can help you see more of the world and can give you a better understanding of people and yourself. Especially the recent generations want to be more immersed and have a more authentic experience when they travel. Millennials and Gen Z do not limit themselves to simple tourism. They want to live in the countries they visit and, if possible, learn the languages and cultures. If you belong to this group of people, then you might also be interested in doing language tourism and wonder how to do it. Well, here are the ways. The first and most obvious way is to attend a language school. Language schools often offer different types of courses for different durations, and you can easily find one that fits to your goals and your budget the most. Universities also offer language courses and can help you get the skills needed to obtain a certain language certificate. Homestays are also worth looking into because living with a native speaker is one of the best ways to learn how to speak the language in a natural way. After deciding how you want to do language tourism, you will have to look at what kind of documents you will need. The documents that are needed can of course always differ a bit depending on the country that you go to, as well as your personal circumstances and a few other factors. What we have provided here are lists of documents that you generally need if you want to have a tourist visa or a student visa. In most countries, people can stay visa-free or with a tourist visa for a period of time, which is usually 30 or 90 days, but can also last up to 180 days. If the language tourism does not last longer than that period of time and the country can be entered visa-free, then no extra documents are needed. If a tourist visa, however, is needed to enter the country, then you need to show your valid passport, the visa application form, the letter about purpose and duration of stay as well as the address that you will stay at, a recent photo, proof of funds, and you also need to show the airplane tickets to the country as well as back to your own country. If a person wants to do language tourism for longer than that time, then they will have to apply for the student visa. For the student visa, you will need a lot of the same documents, but you will also need to submit the certificate of highest academic qualifications that you have attained, as well as the certificate of admissions from the language institute that you will go to. So, if you want to do language tourism, you need to keep in mind that you will have to submit a lot of documents, and you will also need to plan ahead because the visa application can take several months.
Chapter 5. Who is doing language tourism?
Who is doing language tourism? The typical language tourist is a young traveler ranging from 20 to 29 years old, most often female, and travels for academic reasons for 3 to 4 weeks on average. The UNWTO notes that most active travelers are from America, China, Japan, Korea, England, and France. Language study theory is a combination of language learning, tourism, and education, so that the participants can learn a language in the shortest time and experience the local culture.
Chapter 6 Most Popular Countries for Language Tourism. The most popular country is France, and the second is Spain. The third is the United States, followed by China, Italy, Mexico, the United Kingdom, Turkey, Germany, and Thailand. Chapter 7 Example Programs of Language Tourism.
Example, Korea Ewha Language Center offers 4 types of programs. The number 1 is an intensive program for reading, writing, listening, and speaking with extra culture classes to get practical communication skills and understand of Korea culture. Number 2, a short-term program that has beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels and cultural class. Number 3 is an advanced program for people who want to use language primarily for the job market or academia that include learning Korean through medium strategic reading and practical writing, and a project class to help build students' future career paths with on-site training. Number 4 is a Korean language teacher program that prepares students to get the level 3 lessons for teaching Korean as a foreign language with theory and practice through a curriculum designed by Korean language studies law. The other example is in Japan. Google Nihon connects language tourists with language institutions in Japan and also helps with finding accommodation. Choice between 11 language schools in Tokyo, 1 in Yokohama, 1 in Kofu, 3 in Osaka, 2 in Kyoto, 1 in Fukuoka, 2 in Sapporo, 1 in Kobe, and 1 in Oita, or the 4 vacation schools in Tokyo and 1 in Yokohama, and the 1 university in Tokyo. 8 online schools are also available. Depending on the choice of language institutions, they can be up to 2 years. And
Chapter 8 Language Tourism as Part of Human Rights.
in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it is stated that everyone has the right to education, and that it shall promote understanding, tolerance, and friendship among all nations, racial and religious groups, and shall further the activities of United Nations for the maintenance of peace. Due to the still ongoing pandemic, travel bans have been implemented in many countries and language tourists are included. Despite it being for educational purposes, language students as well as other students who are being denied entry to the country that they study in and whose education's life have been put to a health for an uncertain amount of time have been trying to make people aware of their situation with the hashtag education is not tourism in hope to get their rights back. And do you think language tourism is just tourism, or do you think it is the part of the right to education? What do you think of the situation that the students are in? Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. It was Group 15.